Welcome back to the Morning Times here on TVG Channel 28. As promised, we have Joel Simpson. I actually said before the break I have Joel Gansham, but it's Joel Simpson, who is the founder, actually, of Society Against Sexual Orientation and Discrimination. Mr. Simpson, welcome to Morning Times here, sir, and how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
And you know, our focus today is more or less growing up in Guyana as, you know, somebody different.
As a gay man.
As a gay man.
Yeah,
you know what?
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to break it out, you know, in more subtle manner. But how early did you know that you were different?
Well, I think it's difficult to put a precise timeline on it. I think for me, my own experience growing up as a child, as I came into my own and discovered my own sexuality, I could tell that in comparison to my peers, many of my peers who seemed attracted to the opposite sex or gender, I could tell that those feelings didn't exactly match or mirror me from a very, very young age. And I think as I went through puberty and as a young adolescent, those feelings and desires became more real to me. And then I began to grapple with concepts of identity and sexual identity, and then started to identify as gay from very, very early on as a teenager.
Now, generally, high school years are intense. Managing your academics, pre-pressure, and you just mentioned pre-pressure. But what was high school like for you, knowing that you were actually different? You know, what was the response from your peers, your colleagues?
I think high school well, for me at least, it was one of the most challenging times. Like you said, you already have a great deal of pressures as a high school student, not just in Guyana, but all over the world. It's the age when you get into your peer groups, you start to really discover your sexuality as you go through puberty and so on. So that can be an especially challenging period. There's a lot of pressure to conform and fit in, lots of social pressures to do so. So my own experiences in high school, for most of those years, I didn't actually identify openly as gay, although I knew for the longest while as a teenager that I was gay. And that was really just because of social pressures. So like many other gay, bisexual, lesbian teenagers, publicly, openly in high school, I dated girls and had girlfriends to confirm, more or less. And that's part of the challenge that you face growing up as a lesbian, gay, bisexual, and even transgender person in Guyana. The social stigma is so strong that you feel a great deal of pressure to conform.
Exactly. There's a belief that your sexual orientation is something that you can change, and it has been promoted by various ex-gay movement, Operation Restoration, for example. You know, but how do you feel towards this belief?
Well, that movement, which started out of the US through an international organization called Exodus International, the founder and head of the organization has apologized a couple of years ago and said it isn't possible to change anybody's sexual orientation, and that they've made huge mistakes, and that even though they identify as ex-gay, publicly their sexual orientation hasn't changed. They've been able to modify their behavior. So your sexual orientation, to understand that a little bit more, so your sexual orientation is your innate feelings, your emotions, your desires to other people, right? So sexual orientation and sexual behavior is two different things. So I could be gay and choose to be celibate by not having sex with anybody at all. So Exodus International, they've closed down. The challenge is that they've had lots of offshoots all over the world, like His Way Out Ministries in Berkeley, California, which is linked to Operation Restoration in Guyana, the organization you mentioned that promotes this kind of ex-gay conversion theology. And there's been lots of research, particularly in the field of psychology, which has shown that any kind of pray the gay away, ex-gay conversion therapy and so on is actually very damaging to LGBT people in the long term, because you can't change someone's sexual orientation. You can get them to modify their behavior, and that there are long-term psychological effects of that happening.
Let's talk SASOD. What efforts have SASOD been doing or been making to educate Guyanese on sexual orientation and discrimination?
Well, lots, but to be a bit more focused, here on TVG, for the last few months, we've had a video documentary campaign called the SASOD Scene Campaign, where we've been showing documentaries about transgender people in particular and their experiences with discrimination and violence in their lives. We intend to continue that with a new phase of the campaign this year, which is currently in development. Coming up on March 20th, which is International Day for Happiness, we're going to be launching a radio public service announcement campaign, a 3-part radio series, which we developed in partnership working with Margaret Lawrence from Marundoi Incorporated, about equality and non-discrimination, with a particular focus on lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender equality. Those radio ads will also be on Radio Guyana, which is connected to TVG. Yes. So people can look forward to that. Everything will go live online on the SASOD YouTube channel and on radio from 10 a.m. on Friday, March 20th, which is next Friday, so everyone could look forward to that.
I know we're running out of time, but quickly, how can you, there are persons who would say in the closet. What encouragement or what advice would you give them to actually, be that person you really want to be?
I think coming out is an individual process, and everybody has their own journey, and no one else could really determine that for you. All I would say to anybody who is looking live right now or on YouTube later, that if they're struggling with coming out, I know a lot of people want to come out to their loved ones, their families, friends, colleagues, and so on, and they need some support. They need somebody who's been there, who's been through it, need somebody to talk to who could guide them through the process, or they need to be referred professional help to go through that process. Then they could contact us at SASOD. Our telephone numbers are 225-7283, 600-5124, 623-5155, or 600-4030. They could find us online as well. Email us at sasod@sasod.org.gy. Contact us on Facebook, any means, and we'd be happy to support them.
Now there you had it. You had Joel Simpson here from SASOD. We'd like to thank him very much and wish the organization all the best. Please stay tuned for more of the Morning Times on TV.